welcome back to the Fearless Pursuit. Today, I'm going to give you the ultimate guide to intermittent fasting, which is a popular diet trend that's been honestly making some waves in the health and wellness space recently. But is it really effective for weight loss, and is it safe for everyone? Well, let's jump in and explore the benefits, risks, and surprising facts about intermittent fasting. We should probably know what intermittent fasting really is, right? Well, simply put, it is a diet approach that involves periods of fasting or calorie restriction followed by periods of unrestricted eating. According to International Sports Sciences Association, intermittent fasting is not a diet, but rather an eating pattern. And it's a flexible approach that can be tailored to individual needs and lifestyles. There are several different types of intermittent fasting, including the 16-8 method, which is where you fast for 16 hours and then you eat within an 8-hour window. Then there's the 5-2 method, which is eating normally for 5 days and restricting calories to about 500 to 600 on 2 non-consecutive days. Alternate day fasting is another one. You basically just alternate every other day, eating normally, and then going into a calorie deficit. Mark Mattson explains that intermittent fasting triggers a metabolic switch where the body burns fat after depleting sugar stores, offering benefits like improved memory, heart health, physical performance, and tissue health. The way I like to think about it is we intake 3 different sources of fuel. We have carbohydrates, carbs as you might hear them, fats, and then proteins. And typically, especially with our modern diets, we intake a lot of carbs, and so our body is able to use those as fuel. It's very quick to access and easy to burn. So how does intermittent fasting tie into this? Essentially, with intermittent fasting, when you extend your period where you're not eating any carbs, then your body has to find a different source of fuel to burn. So it switches eventually from carbs to fat, and that's why people see weight loss benefits when they start intermittent fasting. Your human growth hormone is also increased, so this improves your muscle mass and bone density. Inflammation can also be reduced, and this reduces risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease and cancer. There's also something I learned about recently, which is the improved richness and diversity of gut microbiota, and that might sound crazy to you. It did to me. Essentially, think of your gut microbiota as a little thriving ecosystem of bacteria in your gut, but most of it's good bacteria. A 2024 study from Frontiers in Cellular and Infection Microbiology shows that fasting boosts good gut bacteria and cuts down inflammation, which helps prevent diseases like obesity and diabetes. So this intermittent fasting really does help your ecosystem thrive. According to Riordan Clinic, intermittent fasting can help improve one's energy, can help one lose weight, and again, reduce the risk of chronic diseases. Additionally, a study published in PubMed found that intermittent fasting can improve reproductive hormone levels in women. How crazy is that? For my mom, intermittent fasting has actually been a game changer because due to her genetics, she struggles to absorb nutrients from food easily or quickly. So intermittent fasting helps her system better process sugars and carbs, allowing her body to absorb nutrients more effectively. Now, when you try intermittent fasting the first time, of course, your hunger pangs and cravings are going to be far more intense than if you practice this multiple times. It's like if you usually eat at 2 p.m. and then suddenly one day you don't eat until 5 p.m., you're going to feel extremely hungry. But the more that you switch to eating at 5 p.m., your body will get used to it. So that's just a smaller risk, but one to keep in mind. And then social challenges, it depends when you're fasting. If you're fasting at night, this isn't necessarily a huge issue unless you like meeting with people for breakfast maybe. But difficulty maintaining social relationships while fasting is something people struggle with. Another possible risk includes hormonal changes. So changes in hormone levels, specifically ones like cortisol and insulin. This is why pregnant or breastfeeding mothers are not recommended to try intermittent fasting. According to Mayo Clinic Health System, intermittent fasting may not be suitable for everyone, particularly those with certain medical conditions or taking certain medications. Actually, my doctor specifically advised against intermittent fasting while on a GLP-1 or GIP medication like Ozempic or tirzepatide, which is why, since I'm on tirzepatide right now, I don't try intermittent fasting. And this is because these drugs already affect your appetite and blood sugar regulation, so combining them with fasting could lead to complications. Is fasting really better than other methods, especially with the rise in popularity of certain weight loss drugs? Well, for some, it's easier to eat nothing for an extended period of time than to eat less all day or to try to restrict your calories and count your calories. It can be a lot. So for those not on weight loss medications, intermittent fasting is a great option, and I recommend you do your own research. I'm going to include all the articles I cited in this episode in my show notes below. So what's the bottom line? Look, intermittent fasting can be an effective approach for weight loss and improving overall health like it has for my mom and her nutrient absorption. But it is essential to consider the potential risks and side effects like anything else. If you're interested in trying intermittent fasting, I would talk to your healthcare provider first, just talk it over, do your own research. What my mom and I did after we talked to our doctor was we tried 12-hour fasts. So that was pretty simple. Most of it is while you're sleeping and you just wait a little bit longer to have breakfast and you stop eating earlier in the night. But it doesn't really impact any of our social life or relationships, and it's something that even I can use in college and have used in college. Again, I tried intermittent fasting before going on these weight loss drugs, and the reason I switched is because I have very low GLP-1 and GIP receptors. So that's not something that intermittent fasting could really help with. Intermittent fasting was good for a little while, but it didn't fix the root problem. Although for those without issues with their GLP-1 and GIP receptors, intermittent fasting can be a great way to help get your body in shape. The main thing if you try intermittent fasting is to listen to your body and adjust accordingly. If you're worried about anything, please consult a doctor. And for women, I want to mention that it's more essential to prioritize stable meals, especially breakfast, to support better hormone balance and energy. And that's something that's just differs between men and women. I've been okay with eating my breakfast later, although I try not to skip it if possible. Well guys, that's my take on intermittent fasting. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of The Fearless Pursuit, and join me next time so we can explore more topics in the health and wellness space together. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more health and hormone related content if you enjoyed this. See you in the next episode.